Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are the League of New Business Consultants, and we have been researching Germany for the past couple of years and how business is done there. My name is Ian Gallagher, and I'm the resident economist, and I've been with this group for several years. We have Alex Cardenas, who is going to discuss the market differences between the United States and Germany. We have Madison Harper, who's going to discuss the infrastructure. We have James Sneed, who's going to talk about the cultural differences between the United States and Germany. And we have Mercedes Trevino, who's going to talk about the government of Germany. So I'd like to move right along, right into the economy. And again, my name is Ian Gallagher, and I'm an economist and have a master's from St. Edward's University in economics. And so I'm going to talk about the GDP. I'm going to talk about their imports and exports, as well as the currency of Germany. So first is the GDP, and Germany makes $3.57 trillion last year, and that puts them as the fourth largest economy in the world, behind China, the United States, and Japan. They're actually the largest economy in Europe and in the European Union. Their largest industries include automobiles, electronics, and pharmaceuticals. And everybody knows about German engineering and their automobiles, and you see them all around the world, like the Mercedes and BMWs and Audis and just Volkswagens everywhere. And their electronics, they produce a lot of chips and things that go into electronics, but they also produce final, like, consumer and user products, like the company Siemens. The financial capital is located in Frankfurt, Germany, and that's where most of the business dealings go on, and that's where where their stock exchange would be located. So next I'm going to move on to imports and exports. So Germany exports for about $1.3 trillion, and their main export partners are France, where they receive 10% of their exports, and the United States, where they receive 7% of their exports. They export things like automobiles, which you see all around the world. They export pharmaceuticals like Bayer and Merck. They also do electronics like Siemens. And they import quite a bit from other countries of the things they use to make these products. Like they import metals and other industrial materials from the United States and the Netherlands. And they import for about $1.12 trillion. Next, we'll talk about the currency. Germany uses the euro, which is standard across all of the European Union, and the euro was recently trading at €1 to $1.30. And so even though the exchange rate is pretty high, that initial investment would be kind of large if you're going to invest in the company, but because you will be taking in much more money, there's really solid profit potential in Germany. So with that, I'm going to pass it off, and we're going to talk to you about the market differences.
Hi everybody, my name is Alex Cardenas. I've been studying international markets with the League for several years now, and today I'm going to talk to you about market differences. First of all, I'd like to show you guys some of the key market differences between the two countries. Then I'd like to talk to you about the different industries, and finally I'd like to talk to you about the ease of doing business in each country. So here we have some of the some key market indicators for both countries. As you can see, one of the big differences is the GDP between the two countries, where we mentioned earlier Germany has a 3.5 trillion, but when compared to US's 14 trillion, it doesn't really seem that impressive. But an important thing to notice is the growth rate of the GDP for Germany is higher. One of the other biggest differences is the current account balances for both countries. Germany currently has about 204 trillion in account balances, which is a lot different than the US, which currently has a negative 465. So those are just some of the different ways that the markets differ between these two countries. So now for their industries, as mentioned earlier, Germany is big with automotive and electronics. Ian talked about Volkswagen. And and Siemens and companies like that. And as you can notice from this graph, the US has a lot of similar industries, where automotive, we have General Motors and Ford. Electronics, we have companies like General Electric, which make everything from light bulbs to medical supplies. And also for chemicals, where they have companies like Bayer, we have Dow Chemical, which makes all kinds of plastics and stuff for Ziploc bags and stuff like that. So you can see that there are definitely similarities between these two. They share some similar key industries. So finally, I'd like to start talking to all of you about the ease of doing business. For those of you who don't know, the ease of doing business is an index compiled by the World Bank. It rates countries across several categories and gives them an overall rank of how they do business. So as you can see from this graph, Germany, when it comes to things like starting a business, is pretty high up in the list. This is a list out of 185 countries, so it ranks 106 on that list. So it's pretty high up there, but it does better when it comes to things like international trading. And overall, it comes out with a rank of 20th in the world. The US, as you can see, comes out a little bit better because all down the board, does a lot better than Germany, so it comes out with an overall ranking of 4. But still, it's pretty good for both countries. They're both in the top 11%. So you can see that they're very competitive in the market. So to summarize, I talked about the economic indicators for both countries. We discussed some of the similarities between their key industries, and we saw how they ranked against other international markets. So to continue our presentation, we'd like to talk about infrastructure.
Hello everybody, my name is Madison Harper, and I've been working for the German Small Business Bureau for the past few years, and I'm a current member on the league. And I'm going to discuss the infrastructure in regards to 3 main points. We're going to talk about transportation, we're going to talk about energy, we're going to talk about the accessibility of utilities and services. So let's get started with this presentation. I'll move into the networks of transportation within Germany. Germany has one of the largest ports in Europe, and they have the largest vehicle port in Europe. They also have 250 inland ports within Germany, so they can transport goods through all the rivers. They have an extensive railroad network, and they have one of the largest or the highest highway densities throughout Europe. They also have 23 international airports, and they do a lot with transportation within city planning. Now, the effects of the transportation on the infrastructure of Germany is that they have the leading logistics company in the world. They also have leading logistics firms besides the leading one. This enables them to domestically transport goods and services and internationally transport goods and services. They have location flexibility, which means since they have such a great infrastructure, they're able to transport wherever you set up your business in Germany, you're able to compete. Location does matter in your business, but since they have such a great infrastructure for transportation, you're able to locate your business throughout Germany and still be competitive, whether you're in a small town or you're in a city. City sustainability, that brings me to the last point in transportation, is they have separated out their cities into pedestrian, bike, and public transportation, away from private transportation. So they're able to move around the city, and they're able to save on energy and resources, and this also brings down their CO2 emissions, which will bring me into, as you see right here, also the transportation for trips. There's a lot more biking, walking, and mass transportation compared to the United States. And one thing that Germany is concerned with is energy. And that brings me to my next topic, energy. They are a very high consumer of energy. They have been trying to bring down emissions throughout the years. And one of their biggest things they rely on with energy is in 2002, where they were one of the leading producers of nuclear power. And with nuclear power, it ran that's where the majority of the electricity came from for the nation. And they're having this nuclear phase-out plan currently. And since 2010, they've really been trying to hit that hard, where they're trying to convert all their nuclear power into renewable resources, solar, wind, and then even gas and coal to make up for that loss of nuclear power. from there's also this idea of hydroelectric energy, which they're going to take the rivers and they're going to pump water up the rivers, store them, and then during downtime, they're going to use this during downtimes when no one's using electricity, because it's hard to store these renewable resources like solar, wind, within batteries. So when they're not being used at nighttime and at off-peak hours, they're going to pump water up the rivers and store it, and then release that water later when they need that burst of energy from their hydroelectric plants. A problem they're going to have is that since they rely so heavily on nuclear power, and they don't have that anymore, they may have to purchase nuclear power from other countries at a cheaper rate. And this is all part of Germany's energy agenda for renewables. They're trying to move all their stuff into renewable resources. By 2050, they want to be 100% renewable resources for electricity in Germany. And so they're moving around all their energies. They're having, so this is going to be something that we're going to have to look for in the future for Germany. I'm going to move on to my last point, which is utility services, the acquisition of utility and services. As Alex mentioned, they're ranked 106th in the starting a business, the ease of starting a business from the World Bank. And they rank that high because it takes 102 days to go to start a business in Germany. As opposed to the US, it takes 27 days. Now this goes through the steps that it takes, and it also says that there's like a district chimney sweep you have to get every year. You have to go through and have a chimney sweep look at all your stuff. There's water companies, when you go through the process, they set up your water company. There's also the telephone lines. Now that also leaves the electricity for your place and trash and waste services. Those are going to be covered by private industries. You have to go and you have to get quotes from these private industries. There's 4 main industries in Germany that provide electricity. And you search the power grid. Also, they give out, Germany gives you rebates and money back for putting solar panels on your buildings. And they're trying to get to a place where the solar power will feed back into the power grid and create more sustainability for that energy crisis that they're going to have. Biomass also, this goes along with trash services. Every region in Germany has their own trash services. They're all unique, and Germany is very reliable on recycling. Everything that they do, they recycle. They go through, every region they have like 7 or 8 bins that you go through and you say, here's the black waste, here's the, you go through and you separate everything out that you use for the day. And you're gonna have to do that when you create your business in Germany. From those distributions of waste, there's also biomass. They combine some of the waste and they combine from the sewer system and stuff, and they create energy from this biomass to fuel that energy, that lack of energy that they're going to be needing. I'm going to pass the presentation off for culture, and that concludes my presentation on infrastructure.
Hi, my name is James Sneed. I'm going to be discussing with you about the difference between culture in Germany as opposed to America. Now, I've owned multiple businesses in Germany. Now, in order to talk to you about this, I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to talk to you some general guidelines you should know in the German culture as opposed to American. From there, I'm going to talk to you like if you were hired to another company in Germany, and then I'm going to discuss if you were to own or manage a business in Germany. Now, to start it all off is emotion. Emotion in Germany is taken very, very seriously. I know you've all seen emotion in the workplace, as we're all experienced, but they take it very seriously there. If you were to show, like if you were to cry, or if you were to yell, you lose credibility immediately. In fact, it looks like you can't handle the job, and you might be demoted or fired or something like that. Now that's because their direct way of communication. Now sometimes this direct way of communication comes off like they're being rude. I assure you they are not. It's just the way their language is set up, as a matter of fact, and how they always talk in business. They like to be clear, concise on what they want to say, and they will tell you if they like it, if they don't like it. Be very, very bold about it. Now, on the other hand, if you were to talk to a German businessman, you cannot expect them to be able to read between the lines, because they don't interact like that on a daily basis. You can't expect that they will pick up on subtle hints or anything like that. So you have to talk to them in that same bold, confident manner. Now moving on, if you were going to go there, let's say for a meeting, if you're going to try to sell something there, or if you were trying to maybe merge a business, do not expect the greatest hospitality. Now that's not saying that they won't put you up in a hotel or something like that, but that's saying that they won't take you to meet the wife and kids. They like to make a point of separating work from family. So when you go over there, again, don't expect to have a nice home-cooked meal. Now, when you go to a meeting, you need to be informed, because I guarantee you they will be. Let's say you're selling a product. You better know everything about that product. You better know everything about the company you're trying to sell to, because they will know everything they possibly can about you, about your company, and about that product you're trying to sell. You've got to go there more informed than they are, and they will be very, very informed. Now, let's say you arrive there on time. You're late. You've got to get there 5 minutes to 15 minutes early, then you're on time. Now, if you show up 5 minutes late, you're on shaky grounds already, depending on what you're there for. If you're 15 minutes late, whatever you were there for is out the window now. Germany is a very, very low-risk culture. They focus on reliability. That's what they take pride in their products, is that reliability. If they don't see you reliable, they don't see you fit to buy from, to hire, or anything like that. Now that goes into selling. Let's say you're trying to sell a product. They're looking for that reliability in the product. Don't give them hype. In America, hype is a big selling point. It works very, very well. Not in Germany. If you go up there and say, hey, look, this is how many people have bought it, this is how many people are like it, you're going to get this exact response. They're going to say, I don't care. How does this affect me? You're selling to them personally. And use clear and very concise logic in order to sell to them as well. They eat that up. Now, one of my favorite parts about this culture, it cracks me up, they interrupt you. Let's say right now, I'm speaking and you are listening. If you were to interrupt me, it'd seem very rude. It's just an American way. Now in Germany, it's not so rude. They will interrupt, and sometimes it'll go back and forth. And other people will interrupt to the point where you have two Germans yelling at each other about a point. They're just trying to make their point louder, make it be heard more. They're not necessarily mad at each other. Whereas in America, if two people start yelling at each other, I guarantee you feelings would be tarnished, and it would be very, well, unprofessional. But over there, not quite. So be prepared to be interrupted. That goes in line with being informed. Now, another thing with Germany, in that low-risk culture, they don't take a nice handshake and a nod, like a gentleman's agreement. They do not take an I promise. I guarantee you that. They want a contract. They want pen and paper. They want to know that you've signed something. So be prepared to sign something when you go over there. Contracts are holy over there. Now, let's say you get hired over there. The first thing you're going to do when you meet your new coworkers is let them get to know you, and you want to get to know them. In order to do that, you're going to make small talk. Good luck. They do not like small talk very much over there. If you do manage to get through, there are a couple of topics you are going to want to avoid and a couple you want to hit on. As you can see up there, the first topic I want to talk about is beer. Frankly, they love their beer very much, and you need to go over there and enjoy the culture. So, I mean, well, why not? When you get there and ask them with that straightforward approach, hey, I don't know much. What do you suggest as far as beer? And they will go on and on. They'll get you on the good side. What I don't suggest you do is go over there and brag about the high quality of a Miller High Life in America. Now moving on, talk about soccer. Of course, over there it's called football, but for the sake of this presentation, we'll call it soccer. Get to know it if you don't know it. Get to know the rules. Get to know a basic idea of it. Because like most Europeans over there, they love soccer. Another great topic to discuss. And lastly is their profession. Talk about their profession. What do they do? If they're one of your coworkers, ask them what they do in that specific company. What you do not want to discuss, and this transcends here to America as well, is monetary stuff. You don't ask anyone in America, how much did your house cost? How much was that car? It's just rude, and it's just private information usually you withhold. Now what does differ between America and Germany is family life. Like I said before, they keep that very, very separate. So don't go over there and ask them, well, do you have a wife, kids? Do you have a husband, fiance, or anything like that? Because they're not open to that. They don't appreciate that. If they want you to know about that, they will bring it up. The only time it's okay to talk about something like that is if you're already intimate friends, if you already know each other for a while. But again, it's best to wait until they bring it up before you discuss it. Now lastly, you guys are in luck. I don't know, does anyone speak German? That's what I thought. A lot of Germans speak English. There's enough population in Germany that speak English that you can do business there uninhibited. You're able to communicate with your coworkers. You'll be just fine. You don't necessarily need to learn the German language. but I do suggest it, of course. Now let's say you're going there to manage or own your own business. The first thing that you need to know is not to praise people in public. Let's say someone does a great job and you want to pull them in front of the office and just tell everybody how good they are. Don't ever do that. It's embarrassing. If they're hired to do a job and they do it well, that's what they're supposed to do. You don't need to praise them for it. Now if you do feel the need, you do something like private praising. You pull them aside and let them know they did a good job, not in front of everybody else. Now, if you're going to own a business over there, you're going to have a lot of capital to start it up. This is due to the high quality products they produce in Germany and the high quality skilled workers they have. Wages are much higher there than they are here. For an average manufacturing job, it's about $36 an hour, and that's in West Germany. In East Germany, it's about $22 an hour. Got to keep that in mind. It varies much over here, which is a little bit cheaper. Now, as far as work times go, it's just about the same as here. 9 to 5, pretty standard. Retail stores maybe open later. There's not much change there, so there's no big surprise. What is different is the unions. There's a lot of labor unions, and I can't emphasize that enough. Depending on what industry you are in, you need to know your labor laws, union bosses, and that sort of thing as to avoid getting in trouble. And because those large unions, there are a massive amount of labor laws, they are very, very well enforced. Learn your industry and know the laws you need to abide by. Now, lastly here, one thing I admire about the industry there is their high quality products. That's the way they compete. Unlike here in America, they do not compete on price. They'll say we're cheaper than this guy, for example, like Walmart or Amazon. They don't compete on price, they compete on the quality of service and the quality of the product they can produce, which I hold very admirable. Along with that, they don't compete for market domination. They don't want as much as they can hold. They want what they need. They compete for their fair market share. Now with that, I just discussed with you what it'd be like if you got hired to a job there, some of the general things you need to keep in mind. And lastly, if you were to manage your own business there, and I do want to leave you with one note, if you're looking to do business over in Germany, the United States government website does offer a very, very in-depth look at the labor laws and the union laws that you need to look at if you decide to go over there. Now with that, we're going to discuss German politics. Thank you.
Like in the beginning, you said my name is Mercedes Trevino, and I have a master's degree in political science, and I've been with the league for maybe about 5 years now. And today I'll be talking to you guys about Germany's politics that they have in Germany. I will cover what type of government Germany has, the political stability and risk that you may encounter in Germany, and the international issues that may happen in Germany as well. At first, I'll talk about the government type. Germany has a federal republic type of government, which is similar to the United States, which is that there's a separation of power between the national or the federal government and the individual subdivisions, which are like the states. Now, there are several political parties that are in Germany. The first two are known as the Christian Democratic Union and the Christian Social Union. Those are the top two political parties that they have in Germany right now. Following that is the Social Democratic Party, which is one of the oldest political parties in the world that they have now. That one's usually associated with the Matrix principles, but they later abandoned that and they stress mainly on the social welfare programs. And then they have the Free Democratic Party, which also has to deal with the free trade and the state's power. And then the left has to deal with the military deployment of in Germany. And the Greens is usually known as the environmental party that they have in Germany. And then of course there's several others that are known in Germany, but not as known to the whole world. Now I'll talk to you about the political stability and risk. The stability in Germany is very well. It's after the Cold War it was a bit rocky, but after that they have grown to become stable and allow businesses to grow in their country. But the risk that you may have is on the eastern side of Germany, there's still problems going on with the economy and rebuilding the eastern side of Germany, because Germany was kind of split into two, but after the reunification to the west side of Germany, they have the west side of Germany has been helping the east side rebuild and bring up the economy so it can be just as well as the west economy. And the eastern half has fallen due to this rebuilding process, but the process is working very well, and due to the rebuilding, businesses probably would prosper in the west side of Germany. But either way, as long as you your business prospers and everything and your product sells, either side of Germany would be will do good for you. Now I'll talk to you about the international issues that you may encounter. The international issues between countries is very well. There's hardly any issues. Of course, the only issue that they have is with Russia over the over energy, which, like Madison said, they both like energy and they both consume energy a lot. So they usually have that dispute between energy. But other than that, Germany has no territorial issues, which is good, and they work well with other countries, so businesses do work well. Other foreign businesses do work well with in Germany, and that's pretty much all the international issues. So if you were from Russia or associated with Russia, I think that would be the only problem if you decided to do energy in Germany. Other than that, doing business in Germany will do very well. The international issues and political stability do very well in Germany. So to conclude my presentation, or to conclude my point, I talked to you about the government type that Germany has, the political stability and risk you may face in Germany, and the international issues that can happen while doing business. Now I'll give it back to Ian to wrap it up.
Thank you. As you heard today, I talked about the strength of the German economy, and Alex spoke about the market differences and a large potential for growth within Germany. Madison spoke about the infrastructure and the ease of transportation and trading within Germany. James spoke to us about the direct approach to business that Germans have, and Mercedes talked to us about the stability of the German government and how it's business friendly. So I'd like to say thank you guys for coming. I'd like to thank the League for talking to you, and I'd like to open the floor to questions.